Are emotions contagious? Oh, welcome! It is that time of the week when we come back and we look at something different about ourselves. Well, first of all, I saw this when I was at the grocery store and I thought, this is right up our alley. We better check this out and see what it has to say. We are here to look at listening to yourself. And what am I exactly talking about? Because there are different ways that you can be listening to yourself. In fact, we've kind of talked about some of them in the past, but I'm talking about something very specific. So let's go ahead and get into it. This idea came to me, and I'm sure this is not a revelation of big sorts, but it was a revelation to myself. And I really think that we need to capitalize on those moments. So when you start realizing something about yourself, take notice of it. Big idea here. We might actually be saying more than we realize. And because, we're just talking and moving on and not really I'll speak for myself, not really always internalizing what exactly I'm saying. It's okay, said all that, now move on to the next thing. When you start noticing that you're saying the same thing multiple times, maybe to different people, maybe it sounds a little bit different, that might be something that you need to think about more, because maybe you haven't been thinking about it, but it's still leaking out in your conversations. And so when I say listen to yourself, I'm literally talking about listen to the things that you have to say. I kind of like this analogy because a lot of times when I'm not a farmer and I'm not even a gardener. My husband does all the gardening and he makes everything look really pretty. I don't have that ability, but what I'm admiring most, and I would say most people are, unless you of course work with your hands and you know all of that, most people are admiring the flowers or they're admiring the fruit. They're looking at the things that are like the things that stand out, the things that are pretty and out there, and that's the same with us. But it's the farmer that really understands, or the gardener that understands really all the intricacies and all the other aspects of the tree that is making it healthy or not. And so that's what we kind of have to be. We have to be a farmer in our own orchard. And so I'm going to kind of look at and analyze the trees and look at what I can see and look at what the things that are visible in order to determine whether or not things need to be adjusted or pruned or maybe even chopped down. The big idea is we want to make some small moves, and those small moves will become big moves. And so the first small move is to visibly look at your orchard and see what you have going on. And the orchard is telling you something, and that something is maybe something that you have to deal with or something that you have to put more thought into. This all stemmed from, this whole idea started when I realized that I was saying the same thing to a couple people. One of them was a coworker, and then I told the same thing to my journal. I count that as a person because I'm telling it all my secrets. And then I realized I keep saying the same thing over and over again. Maybe this is something that I really need to look into. What I was talking about was painting. I want to get back into painting, and so now I'm telling you guys too. And that is something that's been on my mind, but I didn't realize how important it was. I think that's really the key. Why am I telling so many people? It must be because it's something important to me, and therefore I need to pursue it. Either I need to resolve and decide, okay, am I going to move forward on this? How am I going to do that? Or I need to decide, okay, if my idea is I want to be creative, then if I can't paint, then maybe I can go a different route to access this creativity that I want to get to. When it came to me that I literally need to just listen to myself, and that is one of the ways that we can actually tap into our own thought processes. It seemed so simple. It seemed like, why am I not listening to myself already? What is going on there that it's kind of like this is a new thing, and it just that like it's just not a common practice. And I think that is really, I mean, we've talked about it before where when something is a common practice, you don't even think about it. And so I'm sure a lot of people do this already, but they don't necessarily think to tell somebody who is like lost. You just listen to what you're saying because probably something you need to think about. I mean, it sounds so simple, and yet it is something that I know I'm not doing. I'm saying a lot of stuff, but sometimes what I'm saying is something I actually need to think about. It's not just a throwaway statement. There's going to be some things that come to us very naturally and some things that don't. And so this is one of those areas that doesn't come naturally. So it's like you have to pay extra attention. Even though it is something on the surface, if you're not in the habit of listening to yourself and listening to what you say, then you'll just keep going day to day with saying things and not realizing maybe that that statement that you keep saying over and over again is something that you need to actually think about. I wanted to end it with some things that maybe to consider. And so item number 1 is pick something that comes naturally. If you're naturally doing something already that's kind of getting you towards listening to yourself, just tweak it a little bit so that it really fully shines the light on this particular area of you listening to what you have to say. So for me, something that I just recently got into is an app called Jour. It's like the beginning of journal, Jour. And I started with the free version, and then I decided, all right, let's just go with the paid version and see what happens. And the nice thing about it is that one of my patterns is that at the end of the night, I'm already on my iPad because I'm checking this out or checking that out or playing a game while I'm watching something, kind of to unwind. And so if I'm already on my iPad, all I have to do is click a button or not really, all I have to do is touch the screen to go somewhere else, and it will ask me questions to kind of think through my day. So that's something that I'm already here. I just needed to go here, and I'm now journaling every night. And the nice thing about this, I'm not obviously sponsored, but just if it's something you're interested in, it is a quick 5 minutes of just you answering some questions. It also is kind of looking at some patterns for you. So it's collecting some of that data. But then it asks you different questions every day. And I think that's really what I like about it the most. Because it's not the same question over and over again that gets kind of redundant and kind of boring. But each night it's different. And so I really appreciate that aspect of it. But again, you still got to pay attention. So don't forget that paying attention part is key, because you might say it and it's just like in one ear and out the other. And, you may not notice your own patterns and your own repeats. So that's item number 2. Notice your own repeats. What are you set it to the milkman, and then you said, who's the milkman? You set it to the mailman, and then you set it to your coworker. Same thing. It's like, oh, I just said the same thing twice. Maybe I should think about that. Maybe it's something I need to think a little bit more on by myself. Just noticing stuff about yourself is really going to be helpful. We think that we know ourselves. We think that we have it all understood and thought through, but in reality, there's just a lot of things about myself that I am not really thinking about and considering and even valuing. Like, I'm not even valuing what I'm saying a lot of the times. And that really needs to change. And so this is one way that you can do that, is by paying attention to yourself. You've been paying attention to a lot of the people around you and what they are saying and what their needs are. Now you need to start paying attention to what you're saying, because you're saying things that you need too. You just maybe don't realize it. Analyze those trunks and those leaves of your orchard, do they need some more tender loving care and to make your entire orchard the best one on the block, or at least the best one for you, the farmer of your orchard? Just tap into something that already comes naturally to you and listen to yourself. Not only do you have a lot of good things to say, but you also are telling yourself things that you don't even realize. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next time. Well, hello there. Welcome to my neighborhood.